We seem to be taking the upward path now with the summary of Chapter 3. We've been down to the underworld, and now we're ascending towards heaven, I guess, or maybe to be clearer to the lyrical vision, a new dawn. That's what this track is called. Again, as I've said in previous coverage, I'm spending a lot of time with Ad Infinitum tonight. I promised this when I covered Seth, the third track on the album and one of the previous singles, that I would be giving, something I don't often do, a full album reaction, because I do try and be democratic and fair to the broad range of artists I cover on this channel and recognize everybody accordingly, but sometimes there's those special talents where you're like, I want to spend more time with you in terms of first engagement listens, especially since music, I enjoy having a collaborative experience in part with bringing not only music into a greater prominence on this channel, as I've said many times, has been a long-time aspiration of mine since I started the channel in the beginning, but aside from our entertainment ventures, music for me, and I enjoy every single one, each artistic style is very distinct in its artistry and its language, but music for me is a first love and a first passion that's been so dominant in the past couple years in my life. I'm like, how can I not feature it? Right? Especially since music is quite an enjoying experience, especially when you're enjoying it in the company of others who feel as elated as you do in reference to particular genres. And it's been great to feature particular artists that invoke such responses from a number of you that remind me that I'm not as isolated in my music tastes. Because I look at my real life often, I don't have much overlap in that I'm a metalhead. And more than that, a devoted European metalhead specifically. That scene of the world, I've said many times, and I won't say it, or I can't say it enough, it's just exquisite with talent. It's just dripping with names that are great. And, there's many other countries as well that I've explored around to. America. I've also recently ventured into South America. There's probably other countries as well that I'll get to eventually. But right now, I'm just loving Europe. It's so beautiful out there. Are so many of their artists. And I hope that the same, response, I'm compelling you to have an enjoyment in that as well, because music can be a collaborative experience, right? We can have, though I can't necessarily see your face, we have had plenty of exchanges in the comment sections on many of my videos in regards to many of you audience members. Possibly, being familiarized to the groups I cover, or looking at new talents. Again, I cover a pretty broad range, as I said, not just in genre, perhaps, but also name familiarity. Emerging artists, mainstream artists by name. Many people may recognize many of the names I've covered on this channel. I try and get as broad a range as possible, right? In particular, to help maybe introduce you. If you're somebody that likes to go artist shopping quite often, as I do, and exploring around of new talent, maybe you'll find somebody that you'll like. And if you have not engaged with Ad Infinitum before, we're spending a lot of time with them tonight, as I said. Full album reaction. And I did promise it, and I'm fulfilling that tonight. And it's been a wonderful journey thus far. I haven't done this with Ad Infinitum before yet, but I've covered them quite often. I started back in December of Chapter 1, worked my way through their history, and I'm here now as a devoted infinitor. Though, again, as I've said, by comparison to a number of you, my years are far less. But they'll evolve with time. I would say in terms of my devotion, I'm probably on equal footing with many of you, because I've developed a pleasant addiction to this group. They are quite intoxicating in their talents. And I know, going into this, the same will be true with you. That's part of the reason, again, that compelled me to start this late night party with this album debut. Was that with Chapters 1 and 2, when I started covering them, I was just elated at the selection of tracks I heard. But in going and listening to the albums in full, which were still exquisite, I love those pieces, it just wasn't the same, though, to keep absent the collaborative experience. Because I had so much fun engaging with you on first listens for those selection of tracks I consulted. I missed that opportunity with so many other compelling works on those albums. But I figured if Chapter 3, let's not make the same mistake twice. So for you fellow Infinitors, we're going to have lots of conversations on this album going forward, because again, I'm consulting 8 tracks in total. And for those of you that are coming to these videos as first approaches to maybe not just my work, but perhaps Ad Infinitum by name and by listen, I'm giving you many of opportunities to be engaged with their pieces, and I think you will come to like them. Again, I took it on faith in the beginning with them when I first got exposed to, the group generally speaking, but through the bridge point and access point being Melissa Bonney, through the Mortimia collaboration, which I've spoken of so many times, Devastation Bound, I easily recommend that listen. It's such a superior piece in the symphonic metal line. Beautiful duet. Well, yeah, it's definitely a duet with Morten Veland as Mortimia, again, his solo project, highly capable artist from Sirenia. Love him, love his work, and that track is my favorite of his lineup. It's so good, but that's a brought me into Ad Infinitum by name familiarity, and it's just been a wonderful journey ever since. I'm sure the same you will be able to say after you listen to this track. Again, I've taken on faith that every piece of their work is great, and I've not been disappointed at all. So, New Dawn. We're going to engage with this piece together. Whatever access point you're coming from. Longtime infinitor, burgeoning infinitor perhaps, maybe like myself. We're going to take the journey together with this piece, which I'm sure, again, like I said, will be great. So, I'm going to go ahead and cue up the song, and we'll get an introduction for that in a minute. But if you're somebody that likes to read along with the narrative of the pieces through the lyrical work, again, if you're not used to the way I format my content, I do try and provide every accommodation I can to suit listener tastes. So, lyrics will be provided for you, so you don't have to go and look them up yourself, pull them up on another tab. I provide that convenience. I have no problem in doing that. They will track along with the song. They'll, in fact, be visible on screen. So, if you want to read the message with the piece, you can. They'll flow with the song as we navigate our way through it. Okay. New Dawn. Here we go. Let's embark on this journey together. Or continue it on, I should say. Interesting. Softer presence. Okay, nice strumming. Oh. There's that rock root. Okay, that was a good interlude. It kind of felt like almost like their revisited album in a way. But acoustic. It's like, here we go. Mainstream rock, though. I like this key. It's got that hopeful spur on it.
Another day, another miracle.
This really feels like a good mixture of, like I said, the rock roots and the revisited album specifically. It almost feels like an acoustic performance apart. It's a really good mixture in my opinion. Good intense end here. Oh, that was beautiful. I love that line. Her vocals there are perfect. Good string involvement. I like this hopeful edge of this piece. Again, it feels very distinct in its tone even from some of the other songs on here, which again, this album's great generally, but this piece has a special identity. Okay, bit of a break. Again, I got the lyrics pulled out for myself, so it says guitar solo. You expect that pause. Okay. Where are we going with it? He's in the same key area. Let's see if he maintains it. I'm curious. I almost hear it could segue into a shift. I don't know. Or maybe it's a mainstay. We're keeping it rooted so far. Okay, maybe we're keeping it consistent. I like that. Because I like this original key quite well. I think to maintain that would be the more sufficient path. So let's see which path or which route it goes down. Consistency. I like that. Because this key is just really jiving at me, especially for this song. Good closure. Very succinct. Clear introduction and conclusion. That was a beautiful wrap-up. Love that. And again, like I said, the opening strumming was very interesting. I mean, like I said, this song for me, at least on the introduction, and it deviated from this pleasantly, in part because, again, of its own evolution. But the way it began, I felt like it was sort of in this middle space. I mean, if you haven't heard, again, the Revisited album, I'm still exploring my way through it. I did cover it very recently, in part to fill the void of waiting between From the Ashes and this album. Like, I need someone to hold me over. I hadn't checked out that release yet. It's a great album, by the way. Again, I love the acoustic versions of those songs off of Chapter 1. That's what it was based on squarely. I think all 10 of the main pieces, I'm pretty sure. Let me look that up just for confirmation. I don't know at the moment. Let me see. Hang on. I'll pull up a window. But like I said, the song, the way it began with that independent strumming and the... just was slower pacing to me again, and even when it segued back into after the first verse when the riff kicked in, it just felt so much to me like that, like behind the scenes energy, sort of like an acoustic performance. Like, it was just wonderful to listen to. Yes, all 10 of the main tracks off of Chapter 1 for the Revisited edition. Exquisite piece of music on that, and I love the hopeful tone to it. Again, it feels very different in that respect to the other pieces, which have much more, I would say, of a rage and an ominence, even just in their energy, but maybe the songs might speak of kind of an inspirational spirit in part. It depends on the song as well and the translation. Because again, we're playing a conceptual vision here as well with the Egyptian side to it, and the historical background. If you're not familiar with Ad Infinitum, that is a mainstay on their work and their identity as artists, that the music they produce has this general historical integration of storyline. It's quite unique. I mean, I listen to many conceptual artists, but none among that like historical integration. So this Ad Infinitum sits in a very fresh place, in my opinion. This piece, I love the hopeful vision to it. Again, like I said, it feels very distinct from the other works in respect to the tone. It's very pleasant, and I'm glad that they didn't, because, again, it's a bit of a mix, and I have a mixture of opinion as myself when it comes to last measure key changes. Sometimes it works if usually it's established or foreshadowed enough. Sometimes maybe it might come across, again, it varies from artists and songs, in part. Sometimes it might come across as a bit disruptive, or you're in a state of longing where you're like, I love the way this originally began. I would love to stay in that key, right? And this album has played around in part too with that element. Ad Infinitum has done that in the past as well. Let's say, for example, of Chapter 2, there was a lot of that involvement, especially on like the first track, for example. Several key changes, in fact. What was it? Reinvented. That's a good analogy for that element. Really is. This piece, for me, just... I love that it stayed in that one key. It's wonderful. I love that vibe. Again, like I said, it's a very uplifting song. It's encouraging, inspirational, and the vocal work, especially where Melissa says, "Tomorrow is ours now." I love the mixture of inflection on that point. It was just beautiful. Like, that was perfect for me. I know it's just one line. The song was great just in general, but that just stuck out to me. Love that song. Easy repeat listen for me. Really is. It's amazing to me. Like I've said, there's not a track from Ad Infinitum I've not liked. And the personality from each song individually has been great to listen to and to witness with you, in this big party I'm hosting tonight for Ad Infinitum. Yeah, maybe it's a little bit later when you're coming across said party, but everyone's welcome, whenever you want to be invited. It's an open invitation as far as I'm concerned. Because quite frankly, I would love to introduce more people to this particular talent, especially people in my social circle. You know who you are, because I mentioned the names of half the groups I listen to, and all of you give me blank stares. Which, like I've said, in respect to the artists I consult, I don't mind being an anomaly when I happen to have... I've always tended to gravitate more, so not just because I'm a metalhead, but just in taste to who I am on character, I tend to find myself more in the alternative space. I'm very independent. I've always had an independent spirit in respect, and that definitely plays a part in the music I choose, But for me, I'm the one who frequently comes across for talent, because I venture out extensively. I spend a lot of time engaging with different artists that maybe are, seldomly known, but deserve greater amplification. Many artists I've said I cover a good range on here of emerging talents. Every artist I've consulted with their work on this channel, I've loved. I've absolutely loved every artist I've consulted, and many of which deserve grander presences. So perhaps you're somebody that, I know personally, and You can attest with, like, I don't know this name of the artist you've covered. I don't know that one. Maybe you don't know Ad Infinitum, and I would imagine that's probably about 99% of you. You have some homework to do. But maybe you'll enjoy having that experience with me, with Chapter 3 in full, and the past work I've consulted with Ad Infinitum. You know, I've absolutely loved every piece I've engaged with. This album is just spectacular, and in my opinion, it's to the throttle and the level of really the entire establishment of their vision as artists and their talents. This is beauty on display, quite frankly, for me with Ad Infinitum. I'm just loving the journey of perusing through Chapter 3 with you. And again, that collaborative enjoyment, I missed it with Chapters 1 and 2, and I said I'm not going to make them the same mistake twice. And it's just so much fun to engage with each piece and talk about, their strengths and share in that experience and perhaps compel you to dig deeper. But for some of you, longtime offenders, exactly the effect I'm talking about, I'm sure, and you can attest to my feelings. But for those of you who, like I said, are approaching this from a first origin perspective, or really whatever perspective and angle you come from, I'd love to hear your thoughts down below if you wish to disclose your perspective and your opinions on the piece. But I would especially love to hear from those of you who are first-time listeners. Does this piece compel you to look deeper? I feel, again, like I said, that in comparison to much of their work, in fact, when I listen to it, there's a lot of individuality to this specific New Dawn track. I find quite interesting. I just love the personality of it. I might have to let someone sit in with me a little longer. Not that I don't like it or need to take more time in analyzing it, but I feel like I need to experience it a lot more to understand even like its full effect. Because right now I'm sitting back being like, it's just so impressive to me. But I feel like, again, to give it more listens, I'll better understand every qualifier to its deepest nuance. I love this piece. There's just something to me, again, like I said, when I think of the past comparisons of other work, it feels so distinctive. Maybe it is that more hopeful side to it and how it plays in the musical structure. Maybe it's just the energy of the tune, even though, again, like it's mainstream, rock sounding Ad Infinitum. There's just something to it that, again, feels so specific. I love the piece on its own. I really do. It's very strong. I can't wait to hear more from Ad Infinitum. We're summing up the journey quite quickly of Chapter 3. Legends is though again, like I've also said previously, I'm covering these in a bit of a different order because I'm looking at these tracks on Thursday night when they debuted. So it's almost Friday as I'm looking at this. I'm a couple minutes away from it hitting midnight. I'm in the proper time zone where it debuted at 9 p.m. So I'm like, why not start the party early? The Eternal Rain song debuts tomorrow. So I'm looking at that as soon as the video drops. But, hopefully as soon as I can. And that'll be, and I know it's out of order, but for now, we're going to be summing up the journey for most of you of track 12. This is the end of the album besides instrumental tracks. I can't wait to engage with it. A never fabulous edition of New Dawn, and we're getting to the end, but Chapter 3 has been an absolute treat, as really anything has with Ad Infinitum, and thus far of what I've consulted, and I've heard everything. I absolutely love this group. Chapter 3, again, is just right up to the top tier. Thank you so much for watching this video. Before you bounce, feel free to drop a like and comment, subscribe to this channel with a ding on the bell, and share this video with your friends. And consider checking out the description here. There you'll find links to my other channels, as well as addresses to my other social media accounts and ways you can help support my work if you feel so inclined. May God bless you, and looking forward to when our paths cross again. Their talents for me.